The vast majority of the people on that side of the aisle, and for those of you that are at home, let me tell you, when I say that side of the aisle, I'm talking about the Republicans, the ones that brought this hearing. And again, you've heard that this is not the first hearing, but the vast majority of them are white men. White men are lecturing people of color because the vast majority, actually, any semblance of diversity comes from this side of the aisle. You want to tell people of color who is fighting for who? People of color do not feel comfortable or welcomed within your party. That's why you have to parade someone who has the name Dr. King attached to them so that people can be confused, because I have been reading the comments online and people are like, who is this Dr. King? Because you want them to believe that somehow she espouses who Dr. King was, yet you've yet to have MLK the third come in here. You've yet to have Dr. Bernice King, the ones that were actually raised by Dr. King, the ones that actually probably understand the teachings of Dr. King. And I just want to be clear, because I want to talk to y'all about what the Dr. King had to say about racism, so that y'all don't get it twisted and don't get it confused just because you see the name sitting in this room. Our nation was born in genocide when it embraced the doctrine that the original American, the Indian, was an inferior race. That was from his 1963 book, Why We Can't Wait. He also said, in the final analysis, racism is evil because its ultimate logic is genocide. If one says that I am not good enough to live next door to him, or to have a good, decent job, or to go to school with him merely because of my race, he is saying consciously or unconsciously that I do not deserve to exist. This was from his 1967 speech, The Other America. So just to be clear, y'all don't seem like y'all even understand what a hate organization is. So I went to Google to help you out. A hate group is an organized group whose beliefs, practices, and primary purpose are centered on advocating malice, hostility, or violence towards people based on their immutable race, religion, ethnicity, gender, sexual orientation, or disability. So I know some of y'all are, caping for Charlie Kirk, because I done heard y'all talk about his organization over and over and over. So I'm not finna play with anybody who's gonna play with my time. So I'm going directly to Miss McCord. Professor, let me put some respect on your name. All right, if I see a black pilot, I'm going to be like, boy, I hope he's qualified. Does that sound like a hater or not?
That sounds like a racial stereotype.
Okay, sounds good to me. We made a huge mistake when we passed the Civil Rights Act in the mid-1960s.
That sounds like someone who still adheres to racist views.
Okay, America has freedom of religion, of course, but we should be frank. Large, dedicated Islamic areas are a threat to America.
That is someone who can't accept that America is a multiracial, multi-religious place.
Okay, these all just happen to be comments from the fearless leader of Turning Point USA, so I could see where SPLC was going. I also think that it's so interesting that right now, just for those sitting at home, you may not know that oversight is not having any hearings right now because the Republicans don't want to deal with the Epstein file, so they have shut down all of oversight committee hearings, right? So we've got an indictment for SPLC. I have still yet to see an indictment on any Epstein defendant. Not a one, but okay. And we want to talk about what happened in Charlottesville, and we are so upset about Charlottesville. All of a sudden, I would be interested to know which one of you had something to say about Charlottesville when it happened, because I don't think that y'all were saying those same things. In fact, our fearless leader at the time said that there were pretty fine people on both sides. You were okay with the tiki torches. You were okay with it. But I digress. I'm gonna move on to Texas in my last 24 seconds. In your testimony before the Texas House of Representatives, you read aloud a series of messages between you and other whistleblowers, basically explaining the corruption happening, directed by Attorney General Ken Paxton. On page 82, lines 5 through 11, you list all the corruption that Ken Paxton directed you and others to carry out, to quote, demanding that we investigate facially bogus charges, refusing to take our advice that there is no prosecutable offense, demanding that we hire outside counsel, and authorizing an improper fishing expedition. Is that correct?
One of the most heated moments from the latest House hearing didn't come from a witness. It came from Representative Jasmine Crockett. Instead of focusing solely on the Southern Poverty Law Center, Crockett argued that Republicans were avoiding bigger issues and challenged the makeup of the hearing itself. She opened by pointing to what she called the elephant in the room, criticizing the lack of diversity among the lawmakers leading the hearing and arguing that many communities of color do not feel represented by today's Republican Party. From there, Crockett invoked the words of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., reading passages from his speeches and writings about racism and discrimination. Her argument was straightforward. If lawmakers are going to debate hate groups and extremism, they should be clear about what those terms mean and how Dr. King's teachings apply to those discussions. The Congresswoman then turned to comments she attributed to figures associated with Turning Point USA, asking witnesses whether certain statements reflected racial stereotypes or discriminatory views. Her goal appeared to be highlighting why organizations such as the Southern Poverty Law Center have drawn attention to certain public figures and groups. But the exchange didn't stop there. Crockett broadened the conversation by bringing up the Jeffrey Epstein investigation. She argued that Congress has spent considerable time scrutinizing the SPLC while, in her view, not spending enough time addressing public concerns surrounding the Epstein files and accountability questions connected to that case. She also revisited the events in Charlottesville, Virginia, referencing the national debate that followed the 2017 rally and questioning whether some of the politicians criticizing extremism today were equally vocal when those events occurred. In the final moments of her questioning, Crockett shifted gears again and raised allegations previously discussed in testimony involving Texas Attorney General Ken Paxton. By doing so, she attempted to connect the broader themes of accountability and public trust to issues extending far beyond the SPLC hearing itself. Supporters will likely see Crockett's remarks as a forceful challenge to what she views as selective outrage and misplaced priorities. Critics, meanwhile, may argue that she diverted attention away from the hearing's stated purpose and injected unrelated political controversies into the discussion. Regardless of where viewers stand politically, one thing is difficult to deny. Crockett succeeded in changing the tone of the hearing. What began as a discussion about the Southern Poverty Law Center quickly transformed into a broader debate about race, extremism, political accountability, Charlottesville, and the Epstein investigation. And that's exactly why this exchange is attracting so much attention online. It wasn't just a disagreement over policy, it was a collision between two completely different narratives about what Congress should be investigating and what issues deserve the nation's focus. What do you think? Did Rep. Crockett raise important questions, or did she steer the hearing away from its main purpose? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoy hearing breakdowns, congressional highlights, and political analysis from both sides of the aisle, make sure to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you don't miss the next big hearing moment.